All the way in the back. Oh, Rebecca, we're giving you a
Oh, no,
workout.
you're
Are
good.
you sure?
I'm
Okay.
out.
Okay, good.
You're all right. Appreciate you. Hey, so, good morning. My name's Sam. I'm a retired senior NCO. I work for Still Serve Veterans nonprofit. Focuses on, employment for both our, transitioning service members, veterans, as well as their spouses. So one of my questions is, talk about education, and employment for the spouses. There's a lot of different opportunities for the education certification pathways for service members and those veterans. What about for the spouses? Because there's not a lot of emphasis put on those certification pathways to obtain gainful, meaningful employment. It's one thing to get a job. It's another thing to get a job that you actually want. So, where's the emphasis at, and what is the emphasis on those opportunities for spouses?
Thank you so much for that. Amy, do you want to talk like my CAA and
Yeah,
okay,
I do.
good.
Heck yeah, I do. So one of my key points that I wanted to leave the audience here today with is the DoD has comprehensive solutions getting after spouse education and career opportunities. It's our SECO program. And we support active duty, guard, reserve spouses, and we do that in 3 meaningful ways. The first one is finding jobs. So that's through our Military Spouse Employment Partnership Program, as well as our Career Accelerator Program, that 12-week fellowship program that the DoD sponsors along with our partners with Hiring Our Heroes. But that's where we build direct relationships with military-friendly employers who look and recognize military spouse talent. The second thing that we do is provide high-quality career advice. And that's through our one-on-one career coaching through the MySeco portal, where we have expert coaches and, oh, by the way, a 99% satisfaction rate for those who engage in the system, right? So again, I'll reemphasize the fact that spouse employment is a full contact sport, so you have to get out there and engage. And lastly is what you mentioned, sir, is the education and professional development opportunities that the DoD also sponsors. And that's my CAA, that's my career advancement account. It provides up to $4,000 for that, for the professional development, as well as access to over 25,000 online self-paced professional development trainings through Udemy. So we are trying to get after that component. Again, we can always do more, but I would say right now the support that's out there is pretty comprehensive. It goes back to what Mrs. George mentioned. It's about awareness, right? And I would again, if I had one thing to leave the audience with, because I know we are coming down on time, is to please just check us out. Like, give us a chance to help you in your transition to navigate through these various programs to see if we can make something work for you. I'm hopeful that we have something that will meet everyone's unique needs, because we do look at it uniquely.
Yeah, and I'll expand on that as well to say this is also a team sport, right? So we say it's a contact sport, we gotta do our part. It's also a team sport. So when we look at the certifications, a couple of things that I'll call out for you. My CAA isn't available to everyone, and so oftentimes spouses think, okay, well that doesn't apply to me. There are other options. Looking at Syracuse Institute for Veterans and Military Families, they have a number of free certifications that you can achieve as a military spouse or a veteran, so whichever applies to you. And then Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber has Career Forward certificates. Those are free, and those are in things like UX/IX, project management, data analysis, and those are available to you at no cost as well. So there are some other options out there for those who are looking for a certification. And I think you really hit the nail on the head when you're talking about meaningful employment, right? Many of us, and I know I was reading Patty's bio as well, lots of different jobs, lots of different opportunities, and you're creating opportunity. And as we look back at that, we see there are some that maybe were a little closer to us and a better match than others. And that is a really important part of being a career military spouse, I think.
Well, I also think we have to be reasonable too, that sometimes you take a job that you don't really love because you want the job, and you can grow into other things, and it also can help you to learn other things. And I think that that's important, that we have a reasonable paradigm about what life is going to be like, and that perhaps we have to do something that isn't quite the fit that we wanted, and we work really hard and we prove ourselves, and we then can open some doors for ourselves. So I just think that that's important. I always say, I mean, if you go onto the Army Quality of Life website and click spouse employment, you should see all the nonprofits. It's longer than my arm, the nonprofits. If you want a job or a career, we can help you make that happen, but you do have to engage on that. So, and we can help you just with the path. In your season in life, maybe you're not gonna have a job right now, but you can work with a mentor and you can volunteer and you can really start to build your resume. So I just think a little bit of a shift of, okay, this is where I'm at right now, where can I go? And so many people are ready to help.
Yeah, that's a great point, Patty. Thank you both. Other questions?
I mean, ma'am, if you don't mind.
You got it, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rebecca. Mrs. Lozar, good morning, panel. Good morning. Thank you for your time. Senior Chief Cooper, Legislative Liaison for the Master Chief of the Navy. A few weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, SecDef put out a study related to families who do homeschooling for the children. So I was wondering if there's any additional information that could be shared with regard to ways forward for families who are homeschooling their children.
I can just speak a little bit and then you can. So I know in the Army, we have school liaisons. This is one of our hidden secrets that a lot of people don't take advantage of and use. One of the things that they are supposed to do, one of their responsibilities is interacting with homeschool families. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. I can tell you when I visited Fort Leonard Wood, the school liaison there was truly astounding, and she reached out because she said, I really don't know what homeschool families need. So she reached out, she met with them, she asked them, what is it that you would like help with? How can we support you better? And boy, they had some great ideas. There was an amazing partnership, not only with the school liaison and the installation, but off in the community. And she essentially was the connector that brought it all together. So I don't know that that's really, at least in the Army, that people are leveraging that school liaison. And I think, when a button works, we should be using it. And really, one of Randy's mandates is that every installation is different. We need to not treat every single installation exactly the same. We need to give them the flexibility to make things bespoke for each of their places. So when we see something working at Fort Leonard Wood and it's working well, okay, can we amplify that and then let other installations adjust and use that as an example. So I would say, look at the school liaisons and see what they can do for sure.
Thanks, Patty.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the school liaisons. We have oversight of the program in our office, and there's some fantastic school liaisons out there doing great things for families. The homeschooling effort is multifaceted. Most people don't realize that 12%, which is double the national average of military families homeschool, and so it's obviously also a very important issue to us. And so what we're doing right now is compiling a list of reports from each of the services, kind of understanding how they support homeschoolers, what are their best practices, and what they're seeing all the way down to the installation level. We're getting ready to initiate a series of listening sessions with homeschooling families, and emails have gone out trying to get them to come and participate and tell us what their stories are in homeschooling, what their challenges are, and the things that we can kind of do that. From the Office of Military Community and Family Policy through our Defense State Liaison Office, our Federal State Liaison Office, one of our FY26 priorities is going to be encouraging states to adopt legislation that helps and supports military homeschooling families. So we are right now just at the early stages of this initiative, but I think what we're gonna see over the course of the next 6 months is analyzing that feedback from families and looking for those gaps that we can start putting in better policies or better recommendations so we can do better support for those families. Because by and large, I think our school liaisons do a phenomenal job. I talked to the team at Fort Benning yesterday and how they're supporting homeschooling families with, not only the school liaison, but offering facilities, offering opportunities. And so that's what we're working on. And I think like I said, over the course of the next 6 months, we're gonna see some great things that we're doing as a department at large to help homeschooling families.
If I can just add,
Yes,
on the homeschooling front, and this is not to knock homeschooling, I think I think there also has to be a conversation about why families choose to homeschool. And oftentimes it's about the schooling in the communities. And I'll just give you my perspective. I moved from Virginia to California, from California to Maryland, and completely different school systems. My daughter went from being in AP classes to going to California, not having an honors, not having AP, but having an honors program, and then going to Maryland, where I chose, and Simsaf's in the office, and we had this conversation. I chose to get a waiver to live off base because the schooling in the Andrews area was not up to par with what the standards for what I thought my children needed to be. And so for me to get a waiver to live off base, to target a good school system, because Maryland did not have school of choice. But if I went across the river, Virginia had school of choice. And so I think if anything that we can advocate for is for universal policy for school of choice, because that is the reason most families on Andrews choose to homeschool. They don't prefer to homeschool. It's simply because of the access to good schools in the community force them to make a choice to homeschool, which comes at a cost. Because a lot of our family members on Andrews who are homeschooling, their family members are also working, right? So they're having a challenge, the challenge of working and homeschooling at the same time. And so this is not to say that we don't need better homeschooling programs. We need to understand why people homeschool, and oftentimes it's because of the lack of access to quality schools.
I think that's a great point, Chief, and I think, Brooke, as you all look at the Military Family Lifestyle Survey for this year, there may be some opportunity there to collect some more information that we could then dig into. So thank you all so much.
I
Yeah,
also
Connie.
just, as we talk about, I know an inclination, especially up here, is we can create a program for that, and we can mandate something at the DOD or DA level, and we'll push it down, and it's gonna be amazing. And I have found over traveling and doing this for 35 years that the programs that work are the ones that start at the installation level and are bespoke for the installation. There's enough flexibility. What really needs to happen at the higher level is just what the intention is, and then giving them the resources in order to build what they need at Fort Benning or at Fort Polk or at Schofield Barracks or at Fort Irwin, not mandating something, and this is how it shall be across the board. So I'm a huge advocate also of legislation so that we can ensure as we move from place to place that things are the same. So as long as I have the mic, I'm just gonna throw out housing. I think there should be legislation, because the truth is, for the Army, BAH is an arms race we're never gonna win. Every time BAH is raised, every time the rents go up, and we're not only not giving our service members any more spending power, we're also probably not making friends in the community, because our civilian counterparts say, oh my gosh, the Army comes in and everything gets more expensive. So I would say we need to stop pulling that lever. It's not working. We're not going to win. But why can't we have some kind of legislation? I think the housing is building for the builders is awesome. I also think we need to have some kind of legislation that entices landlords to rent to military and stay within whatever parameters we set, and they get a tax break for doing that. So we're not giving them more money, we're encouraging them, and they get a tax break. Something along those lines.
That's a great point, Patty, thank you. And it may very well be an arms race that we will never win, so appreciate that.